everybody, welcome back to Squadzilla. This is, I believe, episode 5. We just watched Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, I believe is what it's called. I'm sure that my friends here can tell me. We got Jax here.
Yeah, hey, what's up?
This good turkey Ghidorah voice.
Yeah.
And we got Tom.
Yo, live from Venus. Here we are talking about Ghidorah three-headed monster.
What did we just watch? Just tell me about it.
I need to, before we even get started, I need to apologize. I need to apologize to the viewers for being a fake fan exposed. Last week, I said that the next movie was Invasion of the Astro Monster. That is the movie after this one. This is Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. It's because the next one has 2 titles, and I confused it. I fucked it up. I'm an idiot. Banned, executed. I'm not allowed on this podcast anymore. I failed miserably.
I don't want to sound awful, but like my stomach started to churn when I realized that, because you said afterwards, you're like, I think I was wrong. And I realized I was like, Tom, what's wrong?
Like, no, it's the worst.
That made me just doubt everything. That Animorphs video just kind of like,
yeah. I mean,
I thought you
bad.
were perfect. Now you're back to brony curious ass.
Yeah, agreed.
It's what are you gonna do, man? Just some flaws you can never outgrow.
Guys, tell me about this movie. Tell me about Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. What happened?
Well, first things first, it introduces one of Godzilla's iconic rivals, like Ghidorah. Like I would say his like main rival. Though Tom, like I was having a discussion with this with other people. Would you say like Ghidorah is more his like main one than Mechagodzilla? Because some people were saying no, it's Mechagodzilla, and I was like no, but Mechagodzilla is not cognizant of what they're saying. So
Ghidorah is iconic. There's a reason King of the Monsters 2019 had fucking Ghidorah in it and not Mechagodzilla.
Yeah,
that's the iconic monster, and this is where his first appearance was. This is also when Rodan enters the Godzilla canon, because there was a spin-off Rodan movie that Toho did before this, if I recall correctly.
No, there was one before this. Like Rodan wasn't just like, because like if you watch this movie, because that's the thing about like watching these movies the way we're watching them, since we're just watching the Godzilla films, we didn't get to watch the Mothra movie. So like the Mothra introduction was like, oh, there's a big ass bug flying around. Okay. And then like with this one, it's just like, oh, who's gonna come out the volcano? It's a giant pterodactyl. If you've just watched this and you have no knowledge of Godzilla, you'd be like, what the hell is that? Like, where's this thing coming from? But it's just Rodan thing happened.
At this point, Toho is building a pantheon of monsters. And they're all kind of bleeding together. They're making their own cinematic universe before cinematic universes were cool.
Yeah, exactly. And this movie was
true. That's very true.
They made their own like cinematic universe.
Like correct me if I'm wrong, because like you got like the MonsterVerse, not like the kaiju one right now, but like the initial cinematic universes belong to like this with the kaijus, and then with like Dracula and
that's a dark universe.
And I'm not referring to the modern take that like failed, but I mean like back in the day, like those were the first like quote unquote cinematic universes. Am I wrong? Like
I believe so, because I mean like because you had like the Wolfman meet freaking Frankenstein and Dracula, and then like they all started just crossing over with each other, and they were the same actors. So it was like a pretty interesting thing that like, oh my god, you're having crossovers between these monsters of different franchises who like they've already established themselves. They're not just like appearing. So like it was like incredibly awesome like to see that. So I think it is a very similar thing in that vein, because like with this, even though we're just watching the Godzilla movies, it is kind of cool. Like it's just like, oh, you remember that Mothra movie? Hey, guess what? She's teaming up with Godzilla in the next one. Oh, you remember that freaking Rodan movie? Well, guess what? He's going to be in a Godzilla movie. So it is kind of cool in that regard, like how they're setting up the universe and just showing how massive.
I like that. I do like that. All right, so do you all want to elaborate more on this movie, since you guys grew up with it and know it better than I?
Okay. So, well, I'll say this for myself first, because I remember when I was a kid and I watched it, I remember the ending a lot, which we'll talk about later. But like when as a kid, this was like the interesting movie because Ghidorah is introduced in this film for the first time. Like he's like, oh, they established like, oh, there's this creature that has come from space. It's on your planet, and it wants to just destroy everything. It destroyed our planet. We need to figure out how to like stop it from waking up. And so like you have this was like the first time they incorporated like aliens into their thing. So like it went from being like a more spiritual sort of like, oh, there's a deity in Mothra, oh, there's sci-fi with this is now we're going to space with this stuff now. And when Godzilla just wakes up going through his thing, and like what's cool is if you're watching this in order, like it goes like straight from Godzilla, the last movie with the freaking Mothra, like Godzilla versus Mothra, and like it just like goes like he's clearly just woken up from that freaking gotten out of Mothra's netting, and now he's just like wandering around and doing his stuff like Godzilla does. He's like very neutral in these movies. Like he hasn't become the iconic hero yet, but he also isn't like his he isn't like as bad as his first self. Like his first self is just like, okay, that man was ill. Like there was something wrong with him. Like he was killing everyone. And then like afterwards it's just like he's just sort of doing his own thing. And so like with this movie is like it was cool to see just how he reacts, because he's just doing his normal Godzilla stuff of just destroying, and then Rodan's flying around, and like it was an interesting thing. And it just follows these well, Tom, like what were they like? They were like he said he was a bodyguard, but they didn't make it like clear. Like I'll give it to Tom.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this movie, I think, just because this is like this movie really sets the tone for the franchise, really for up until like the entire end of the Showa era. And I know we said that with King Kong versus Godzilla, but that one kind of like got the ball rolling. I think this is like where the identity is really kind of solidified, right? Because Godzilla becomes kind of they become very anthropomorphized in this movie. There's like a whole scene where the twin fairies are translating as they're all having a conversation. They're all emoting very much like in a human manner. So like very much like this is a schlocky kids movie now. We completely abandoned the metaphors for like nuclear power and everything like that. We're just having a grand old time.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
and
that though.
I mean, this movie was what? Is it 64?
63 or something, I believe. 63 or 64.
64. So we're like in the beginnings, well, not beginnings, but like I guess depending on where you want to start it, we're in the midst of the space race, right? So this is like where I think a lot of that influence, like that kind of space race thing coming in and becoming a huge part of like the zeitgeist of just like world culture at this point, trying to like get to the moon and stuff. I think that's why like the aliens and stuff are starting to be brought in, because like it just the idea of space travel starts to capture the imagination. And this is where the movies really start to kind of become more cheesy and just kind of like embracing some silly stuff, right? Because the whole thing is Ghidorah is a monster from space. We have an alien that's like possesses a princess of like some fictional country and is like prophesizing and warning people about like the end times. And it's just like we're very far from a somber tale of representation of nuclear power unchecked destroying a city. You know, we're just very much planted in schlock now. And I don't know. I mean, I'm biased because I grew up with these, but like this is like what Godzilla is to me. This is what I want out of the series. And I know that's like blasphemous to some people who are probably more like serious film critics, but like this is what I sit down to watch. This is why I like these movies so much.
That's fine though. That's the big slice of ham that I want. Like sometimes you just want to go out and get a particular food and you know it's not like filet mignon. It's a big slice of cheesy ass pizza, and that's
McDonald's
fine.
or something.
Yeah, it's something that it's like it has its own merit, and you fully know it's not like perfect substance to put in your mouth. That's just fine, and that's how I see this stuff. Where it's like it's cheesy, it's hammed up in the sense of like how over the top and silly it can be. You got these big rubber suit, actors slapping around, falling on their ass. That's hilarious. Like you can't take this serious, so you might as well have fun with it. Like the first film is serious because of what it's addressing. It's addressing one of the most pivotal moments in human history. being told from a culture who suffered it firsthand. That's serious. That gets a pass. But
Mhm.
like, I'm glad they didn't knuckle down and making it like, no, we have to make it super serious all the time. Like, I appreciate, like, even Shin Godzilla is still like kind of outlandish because it's a giant monster attacking. Like, that's outside the realm of reality. You're in fiction. Have fun with it. Like,
Yeah.
enjoy it. Now, I say that knowing, according to you both, things get fucking nuts as time goes on.
Oh,
Where
yeah,
it's
you'll
like,
see.
Oh yeah.
like what are they called, the Xehanorts, or that's from Kingdom Hearts, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, yeah.
all I know is I'm bracing myself for.
It doesn't get Kingdom Hearts nuts. We'll say
No,
that.
maybe Animorph. No, it doesn't. But like with this movie, like for instance, to go off the schlock thing, like I remember being a kid and like seeing Godzilla like laugh and just like, have a thing where like him, Rodan, and Mothra are like having a conversation, and then the Godzilla's basically like, "Look, I don't give a fuck. This dude fucking attacked me out of nowhere. I'm just trying to mind my business, and he freaking yeets my ass across his mountain for no reason." Then Rodan's just laughing about it. Like that is hilarious to me in that sense of just like the monsters are just. They're very much like us, like Tom said earlier. They're very anthropomorphized, and they're just having like a conversation like that. I found that like incredibly just entertaining. Like as a matter of fact, the way this movie went for me personally was like the first because me and Saber were talking about this when watching the movie. Like you can start just picking out the tropes of like, oh, okay, this is how it goes. Like there's misogyny here, like the military's gonna meet in here, like Godzilla's gonna show up at this time, the other monster's gonna show up at this time, and then like you just see how it goes. But like it becomes entertaining. Like for me, this movie started off a bit slow in the guard because I was just like, okay, it pulled the thing that Tom mentioned last time of like, if you're waiting for Godzilla to show up, then the movie's not doing a good job of like having you engaged with the plot. It's just like, oh, the whatever, we just need to go on. Like with this movie, I was just like, okay, when's Godzilla and the other one's gonna
Yeah.
show up? And it took him like
Here,
40 minutes to show up.
the
And
thing, the
go
thing
ahead.
about this movie though, which really is kind of a bummer, is
Mhm.
that if I was like to just summarize the plot right now, it would sound interesting, because like here's the plot, right? There's a meteorite that crashes to Earth, and scientists go to investigate it. It has all these really strange properties. It's fucking with everyone's compasses. It seems to have some sort of gravitational or magnetic effect. These guys go to study it, and all their tools get like flung toward it and attracted to it, and all this crazy shit is happening. Meanwhile, there's this like girl who shows up who claims she's from Venus and is prophesizing about the end of the world, and everyone thinks she's crazy, but over time her prophecies come true. Like she predicts where all these monsters are going to come from and the damage they're going to do, and then she starts like getting into like gunfights and stuff because like there's assassins going after her because it's like an alien presence possessing like this princess who they were trying to assassinate. So like all that stuff sounds interesting, right? Like at least engaging, but like the movie is just very slow in terms of its initial pacing in the beginning, and lots of scenes aren't really resolved. Like a lot of the times a scene will start, something will happen, and there won't really be a resolution to it. It'll cut away to something else. And so just the pacing's very messy, and it takes what could be a serviceable, interesting premise and kind of just doesn't do it very effectively.
Agreed.
Agreed.
It's like, okay, I said this when we were watching. I was like, the characters, the human characters in the last film were so much better, much more personality. I actually cared for their plight. They stood out to me because I realized after a while a lot of these characters, and this is not me being racist, this is just me saying that they all start to look the same. Where it's like, and the same thing can be said for like Western films with like cowboys, where it's like, here's the cowboy and there's the damsel in distress. It's just like tropey stuff. So when I was watching this, I was like, was that the same girl from last time, or is it different? And I can't really tell because it's not that they look the same physically; they act the same too, which makes it difficult for me to realize, like, is this the same person or not? They're both in the newsroom. Okay, we're in a newsroom last time, so is it the same? That stuff gets a bit frustrating. So, but again, the main course being that I can forgive human actors being lame because it's like I'm not here for them. Now it'd be nice to have engaging actors to carry things along because I think it helps to amplify the monsters and make them seem more like deadly fun craziness when it does ensue, where it's like, oh, the humans, they might get smushed under here, versus like boring ass actors where I'm like, oh, or characters, I'm like, I don't care. So that all being said, like in the 2014 Godzilla, I'm like, oh, kick ass, I don't really care, bro. You're just Soldier Magoo. Like, I don't really care. Versus King of Monsters, where I thought the human characters were a lot more interesting. Not perfect, but interesting. So I guess what I'm getting at though is that I also said to you all when we were watching, I'm like, the monsters have personality. Like I like it that Godzilla's getting pissed off, he's laughing, got Rodan shaking his head laughing as well. Mothra's like, guys, please, we've got to fight, please, I'm talking to you. And I'm like, okay, word, I like this. It's definitely entering the realm of, okay, here we go, it's gonna get kind of cheesy from here on out, I can imagine.
I mean, it helps you connect to it makes them characters, right?
Yeah.
And that's, and as a kid, like, this is one of the ones as a kid that I would rewatch all the time.
Yeah.
Just because it's fun like that. And it makes Godzilla feel like a character, which is better than, I didn't ever rewatch 54 as a kid, just because, like, it was just dour. It's depressing. And it's just like, I don't want to fucking watch this again, But like this one I would watch all the time, and the next one coming up I'd rewatch all the time, just because like they're fun and good vibes, and just like it's not taking itself too seriously. It's just like, let's do some fucking crazy shit. And that's really I think the strength of the movies going forward.
It's like Godzilla is a franchise, and I know there's a lot of franchises like this where it depends on whose hands you lay your like intellectual property and the story they want to tell. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe was a lot more serious compared to the Marvel cinematic films. I say cinematic, very lightly, in the 90s, where it's like, oh my god, this is like really almost like Adam West levels of Batman like craziness. Like I can't take this seriously. It's corny as fuck. So like I get that with, like, I think King of Monsters, I keep bringing it up, it's a good compromise, whereas like it's big and serious and fun and action, but there's also enough of like a levity to it all to make it like, it's like there's big ass monsters slapping each other, and you got a big old like B-2 bomber, like home base jet plane. I'm like, that's stupid, but I'm here for it. Compared to Netflix Godzilla, which I think they went too hard on with the seriousness, which could have worked if it had better characters and actually had the fucking monsters show up properly. Like, I'm cool with them taking their liberty with their interpretation with it all. That's fine. Godzilla's a franchise where it's like, have fun. Not have fun, but look, you can interpret it the way you want to. Doesn't mean it's gonna be good or bad necessarily. It's just up to you to do with it with what you can, whatever. Right. So the Netflix one, it's like Mechagodzilla is a city. What? Ghidorah is 3 separate little like string dragons from Breath of the Wild. Okay, so in that regard,
Godzilla is like a mountain or something. Like it's the biggest Godzilla they've had to date, and then there's Godzilla Earth. I'm not.
That's the name, right? It's Godzilla Earth, right? That's the name.
Yeah,
of it.
Godzilla Earth.
See, I was cool with that at first. The Godzilla being like the size of like a goddamn city. Until it's like, oh, the characters are just tropey anime characters, and they're too serious, and this is getting stupid. So that I'm just ranting at this point. What I'm getting at is that I'm completely on board with these monsters having personalities that enter the realm of almost human-like behavior. That's fine, because they, like Tom, like you said, it makes it fun. Like that makes it more interesting. So,
and I think another good thing is that it leans into the limitations, right? Because like you have guys in suits, you're not going to be able to do what King of the Monsters, the newest Godzilla film did, where you can like have like really expressive emoting on the characters because they're high resolution, high poly count, like 3D models that can like, zoom into like individual eyes and have them like track, human actors and stuff like that. Like these are like really limited puppets. You can see the strings, you can see like it's very obvious. So if you try and like craft a serious narrative with this, you're gonna have to really suspend your disbelief, and especially nowadays, you're not gonna be able to do it. But like if you just see a puppet dinosaur laughing his ass off as the dude he was just punching gets webbed up by a little bug, like it works.
It works.
It all works
because it suits. if it was King of Monsters where like Mothra roped up Ghidorah and Godzilla's like, it's like that'd be stupid. Now there's there's that moment where Godzilla squints his eyes and he's like, oh yeah, I know you.
I remember you, motherfucker. Yeah, shit like that.
That works because that's just a small enough of like a physical like reaction that doesn't seem like it's too like, I mean, it's like we humans can relate because we squint our eyes like, oh, you, but also animals can squint their eyes, so it's like, okay, we can get that point across versus a laugh, and it's like that's a very human trait. So I don't know.
No, I mean Kong could do it because he's an ape.
Yeah, I'll give him that because apes are, you know,
like, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, even though we're not talking about Kong, like even Peter Jackson's Kong, when like Kong is laughing, that was like, okay, that works.
That works.
Like, I've seen apes do that shit. So.
Versus something like Rexy from Jurassic Park's a bit.
Oh yeah, Rexy started
like,
cracking up. That'd be weird.
We're like, what? I mean, we got close to something doing that with the dinosaur that smiled.
Oh yeah, the fucking smiled, the freaking ego raptor, right? When like the guy was like, oh, I
the
need to
ego
go
raptor.
Yeah,
was it called the Indoraptor? I thought
Indoraptor. Yeah,
the
yeah.
Ego Raptor.
It's
Aaron
from
smiling. Oh my god! I just realized who that is. Aaron. Yeah.
Aaron. He went running around naked in a mansion, slapping other dinosaurs.
Yeah, just biting people's heads off. Is a giant cannibal. Oh god. So, but yeah, this movie, as from a technical standpoint, for me, is like just a Godzilla fan, just like going into it. Like the movie started off slow, but then once like Godzilla and the Mothra and then Rodan all met each other, it picked up tremendously to me because, like as we mentioned, it just like became like, okay, it's schlock. These guys are freaking in suits laughing together, and it's just like it works. It just like Tommy said, it just works super super well. It's hilarious to like watch. Like again, like if you were trying to show this to like I don't know, like a 10-year-old or something like that, they'd probably be like, what the heck is this? This is like ridiculous. But it's just, to us, it works. It just absolutely works. Like if you're just like a older person who's like watching this, it's just like, huh, I can appreciate this, then I just think it works a lot in that regard. The ending, like this is one of those movies where it started off slow, but the ending like picked it up tremendously for me. And I think like, again, it still holds up in that regard. Like,
yeah. I mean, if you just want to watch some beatdowns, this movie has a good one. This is like the biggest fight to date in the series. This is four monsters.
Best action so far. Now, cinematically speaking, of course, the first film is the best. Second film's forgettable. Third film is like, okay, we're getting some more. But you know, of course, like the best human actors. And wait, was it the third or the fourth? Shoot.
Well, the fourth one had the best human actors because we actually cared about.
What was it? What was the third one? That was Godzilla.
King Kong.
Yeah, King Kong.
Like, that's right. That one was wild. But yeah, I guess I liked Rodan. He looks goofy as hell with a little pinhead. Mothra. I appreciate that they kept Mothra as their larva form. Godzilla looks I love all his expressions, and I love how he's just like, fuck you with this rock. And then Ghidorah looks great.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. He's like leveled up between the last movies and learned rock throw, and he's using it all the time.
It's like, I'm not gonna waste my atomic breath on you, so here's a boulder.
I think there was only like one atomic breath effect in the entire movie in the beginning when he blew up the boat.
And
there was like two.
He blasted Rodan.
Yeah, he did it at Rodan's face. He was like,
there's a couple times, but it's only like a weird like smoke thing. It's not like actually drawn in like they usually do, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like a full power. It wasn't like you see the blue blast,
like the beam.
Yeah, exactly. It was more like it was more like he was like spraying like air.
As a kid, I remember being like, "Why is he burping on Rodan?"
Yeah. Because there are some movies where it's just like, okay, that is fire freaking style, but then it's just like, okay, are you burping or farting or like what's going on?
Yeah. It's that was like one of those weird things that my little tiny kid brain was like, it's supposed to be blue. This is bullshit.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh my god, like when we get to certain films, there are certain films I'm just like, that's what your breath looks like. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh god.
I do think it's pretty great that like you got Anguirus in the second film, and they're like, yeah, we'll get back to him later.
Yeah. He'll resurface eventually. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because like we're not really talking too much about like structurally or critically about the movie, because like it's just a fun romp, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's really what you get from it. Like the story is pretty much forgettable, especially the first half. The second half it picks up a bit because there's like gunfights and stuff that kind of
aliens
keep the action going. But yeah, it's just if you want to watch guys in rubber suits punch each other, this is a good one. And this is like the one that introduced Ghidorah, which is like just mandatory viewing if you're a Godzilla fan. It's where that character came from.
Well, that's what I was looking forward to the most. Is like after like 15 minutes of the human characters, I was like, okay, I got it. Like they aren't going to be that interesting. When are the monsters going to show up? Because I look forward to seeing them. I want to see Godzilla's reaction to Ghidorah. And I loved how Godzilla like ran down a hill, like, oh god, Mothra, I gotta save her. Like that was great.
Yeah, because like in this movie, because like in the other movies, clear like, oh, they've known each other for years, they hate each other. In this movie, it just sort of just like Mothra's like, there's this bad dude, he's coming to fuck up shit, and like, I don't give a damn about these humans, I just want to destroy shit myself. And then like Rodan's like, yeah, same, bro. And then like freaking Ghidorah comes like, okay, fine, I'll handle this. And Mothra's going, gets yeeted right across the floor, and Godzilla's like, hey, that's my city, hey, and then he just like walks over, and then like he gets knocked over. And then
dude, the way that he
ran.
The way he ran looked like a bro got beaten up at the bar, and he's like, hey,
hey, I'm bullying that bitch. What are you talking about?
Well, Tom, used to that Mothra was getting like blown the fuck out during the fights.
Dude, they just like every time Mothra got hit by an attack, it's not just like, oh god, it's like they just like grabbed the strings and yanked the fucking puppet.
Yeah,
like Jesus Christ.
Oh god,
it was great.
It was hilarious.
That's the best part, was just seeing the monsters fight, which I felt like we got a satisfying amount of.
How fucking sick was it when like they do the team up when Rodan's like, yo, Mothra, get up here so I can give you a better angle so you can web up fucking Ghidorah.
That was great. That was awesome.
Full creative shit like that, you know?
Like I know that King Kong and Godzilla, like when they're fighting on the mountain, was kind of fun and silly, but this feels like the first real time where they're like, this is a monster fight, a multi-monster fight, and we can get creative with it, where it's not just them lumber around pushing each other. It's like we can have fun with the powers, with the combat, also a good slice of, you know, corny pie. Like we're gonna go nuts with like the, just like, it's so funny seeing Godzilla,
Rodan and Godzilla playing volleyball, you know,
exactly.
with the rock.
Or them, I do love it when like the action, like there's like Godzilla moves slowly in some scenes, and there's other scenes where he's clearly falling over as a human in a suit. And
yeah,
I love it. It's like, yeah, Godzilla, get back up.
Yeah, there's one scene in particular, like I think y'all missed it, but like there's one scene in particular where Godzilla falls and he can't get back up, and it cracked me up so hard, because like it honestly felt like the actor in the suit was stuck and was trying to push himself up, and like he just couldn't get the footing, and they were just like, this footing is this footage right here is just absolutely amazing, we have to keep it. But like, and then like freaking Rodan like picks his ass up and throws him away, and it's hilarious. But
I love it.
Oh god, I love it. I love this movie.
Any final thoughts?
I mean, yeah, watch it. Like honestly, if you're a Godzilla fan, like just check it out. Like if you're a younger person who's like probably not gonna be like take it as seriously, you know, just watch it with your friends. Like you just, you know, get some snacks, watch it, be like, oh, so this is where it started, because it is honestly just a pre-King of Monsters version. Like you have all the monsters from King of Monsters in this one, and so it's just like, yeah, just go ahead and enjoy it.
Fuck yeah. Tom?
Yeah, it's great. This is one of the ones I watched a ton as a kid, and watching it again now, still a good time.
I had a hell of a time watching it too. I'm like, oh please, I hope the movies moving forward can match and elevate the combat, because I'm having fun with it. Like that was worth it. I will sit through boring human characters just to get to the good stuff like this.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what's the next film, boys?
The next film is Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, aka Invasion of the Astro Monster, aka the movie I said last week.
Yes.
Monster Zero, I've heard that name before. All right, I guess I'll rediscover it next time. All right. Cool. All right, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Later.